All right. So I will just enable the slideshow here. And I will share my screen. So we'd like to welcome everyone to the IPMS London meeting for May. And we've got lots of goodies tonight. Sounds like everyone's having good weather wherever they are. Someone's puppy wants to join in.
Yeah, she locked the door.
Okay.
Okay, now.
That's fine. All right, let me just bring up the slideshow. Okay, you all should be seeing the slideshow there, the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so again, welcome to both members and guests. I see we have a few guests. We also have all the way up from Ottawa, Mike's dad Peter and his mom. Welcome. Happy for you to join us tonight. So all the normal Zoom etiquette. If you have to cough or have to make a lot of noise, if you're working on something, don't forget to mute. Club business, nothing really, no new updates there. So I'm going to turn it over to Kerry. He has a couple of bits of IPMS Canada.
Okay, thanks, Stewart. There's just a couple of things. I'm going to be putting out an email to all of the chapters with some of this stuff, so I thought I would just give you guys an advance on what's going on. IPMS Canada over the last year has seen a slight growth, approximately 10% growth in our membership, which is awesome. Any additional members, of course, adds money to the coffers, and then that money can then be turned around and put into things like improved RT, decal sheets, etc. So we're hoping to continue with that trend. In line with that, the new requirements and guidance document has been pretty well responded to by all the chapters. Took a little longer than I had hoped, but the whole COVID thing had shut down some of the chapters and they had not been meeting. There's still a number of although we meet by Zoom all the time, both with our Wednesday night group and with the chapter. There's a number of chapters out there that don't meet at all, either by Zoom or any other format. So it's been taking a little longer. And the whole point behind that guidance and requirements document, just for your information, is just to provide a uniform sense of governance for all of the chapters, and linked with that, looking to improve membership both in IPMS Canada and in the chapter itself. I know I keep harping on this, but that's part of my job as the chapter and member liaison, is that I'd like to see an increase in the membership. I think on average across the country, average IPMS Canada membership within the chapter is hovering around 25%. So 1 in 4. In our chapter, thanks to everybody who believes in IPMS Canada, our numbers of course are higher. So, and the same with Ottawa, same with I think Vancouver is another one that's got a high number as well. Just as a matter of interest, one of the reasons we're looking at this is we're one of the few organizations that has chapters that allows non-members to join the chapter. And that's not going to change. I don't want to scare anybody, nothing changes in that regard. But we'd like to see an increase in the membership. And again, it all goes back to what we can then do for the members itself. Speaking of membership, for those of you who are interested, we've got another decal sheet coming out in the next issue or so. I can't tell you exactly because I don't know. And I can't tell you what's on the decal sheet, but they're all going to be Canadian topics, of course. That's just what we do. So I'm going to remind those of you who missed the last one or would like to get in on the free decal thing, you need to be a member at the time of issue. You can't hear about the decals and then go out and try to join. It doesn't work that way. And the reason for that is we only can print so many. Well, actually, we can print a whole bunch, but then we end up having a whole bunch in our basements, and we don't want that. So what we do is at the time of printing, we take a look at what our membership numbers are. And because we have to print in segments of 250, so it's either 500 or 750. And typically what we do then is we cut it back to 500, and we generally get maybe a couple of dozen more from the printer as they're doing test runs, and they send us the test run as a total. So, and once they're gone, they're gone. And so if your name is not on that list at the time of the printing, you're not going to get a decal sheet. So for those of you thinking about that, you might want to join now and save yourself the grief. Tell them Carrie sent you. The other thing, two more things here, Stewart. One is we're always looking for articles for Random Thoughts, our quarterly journal. And we're always looking for articles for Beaver Tales, which is our digital newsletter. We would love to see an article on, for instance, IPMS London, what we're doing, what's happening during the COVID times, and hopefully what's going to happen post-COVID with our monthly meetings, perhaps some shows, whatever. Just a general update. We shouldn't expect Stewart to do this because his plate's kind of full, but perhaps someone else could take up the task and write a short article. And I'm sure Stewart has lots of photographs that he can provide of what's been happening at the meetings, etc. We're also looking for just general articles, like what, so as an example, any aircraft, armor, car models you've built recently, take a couple photos, tell us what you did with it, send it in, and we can put it into Beaver Tales. For RT, they need to be a little bit more involved, but Steve Sauvé, our publisher, he is, or our editor, sorry, he is quite helpful. If you want any input, just talk to Jeff Hayland. He recently had an article in the latest RT about his Star Destroyer, and it was an excellent article, and that's the kind of stuff we're looking for. And then last thing, we have some openings on the executive, so if you're bored and you're looking for something to do.
You've gone quiet.
I just lost a bunch of people.
Where's the cricket sound? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, did we just lose a bunch of people?
Nope. No, they're there. They're there. I think they turned
okay.
off there.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's it. So if you're given any thought, that would be appreciated, and we can go from there. That's it, Stewart.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Carrie. I just wanted to point out as well, one of the, as Carrie was saying, the benefits, you get the Beaver Tales, which is the email publication that comes out. It just came out this week, and articles as diverse of, there's one there about the Copper State model armored MG carrier, but there's also one about a little bit of background about the cross of the flag of Free France and the cross of Lorraine markings, whether it was in blue or red. There's something here about C-47 trivia. And as Carrie was saying, most of you have seen these, but again, that was the latest decal sheet that came out. And again, all sorts of good stuff, and they're just beautiful, beautiful decals. And again, a definite benefit. So it's definitely worthwhile. So that's my.
For those of you who aren't members and aren't familiar, you don't just get the decal sheet. I mean, they're all for specific vehicles, aircraft or armor. And there are articles associated with that basically tell you the history of it and where those decals go or decals go. So it's pretty neat. It's a pretty good little benefit.
Mm-hmm. And if you prorate it out over a year, it's like a couple of coffees a month. It's literally not much. So, okay. Well, thank you again. Thank you again, Carrie. We always appreciate the work you do as well on the national level, you and the rest of the executive at IPMS Canada. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Moving on. I'm going to share my screen again. And we'll go share screen. We'll go back to the slideshow. So now we're going to do, there we go. You should all be seeing the slideshow now. Now we're going to do on the tables. Our first contestant, Michael Hill, the son.
Seen that before.
That's my old Airfix 1/72 scale Airfix C130K that I picked out of Brockdale's obviously a few months ago. I led to understand that the original molds for this kit were made in about 1957, and the original release was in 58 or 59. And it's been sitting in somebody's stash since that time. And I believe you've already seen the Land Rover and Bloodhound missile that I've already built for it. I was hoping to build it out of the box, but as you can see in that picture there, I swapped out the engines because the Airfix were just far too narrow and about 3 millimeters too short too. I'm doing the same modification on the Area kit because they're way too short. I haven't really spoken about it or taken any pictures, but the underside of the nacelles on the wings, they were almost 1 centimeter too short. So when I was doing this modification, I reprofiled the nacelles to fit to the underside of the wings and moved them back to almost a proper position. Hopefully when it's all painted black, you won't be able to see it anyways. And a small surprise for me, most of the glazing went in, again, because the kit's getting on for 50 or 60 years old, most of the glazing went in all right. I did reach a point where some of the rectangular lower windows where I said, all right, that's good enough, and just bunged them in. And I've just this evening finished masking those off for some painting.
Very nice.
Nice paint, isn't it?
Okay, then we have Peter Hill with the lightning. Michael, you sent Michael 2 pictures and I got them both, Peter. You want to tell us a little bit about this?
It was an interesting build. It was one of the most difficult I've had to do in the last year or so I've been modeling. For detail, and especially with coming with the decals on and the painting. So the painting doesn't look so good in that picture either.
Well, the picture, you got a lot of, with the flash and everything, as long as you're happy with it.
Is that one of yours, sir?
Yeah, that's the other side of it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so, yeah, it
It
looks
was an
wonderful.
interesting build.
Mhm.
So it's and I knew quite a bit of the history of the lightning, but
Yep.
it was interesting.
Very nice. Very good.
I learned a few swear words.
Was there a few swear words? Oh dear,
Oh, yeah, I learned a few, that's right.
it does happen. Okay, George.
Hi there. This is a Zevda kit. It's 1/72. It's the Stormovic, or in this instance, it's the Tank Hunter. Now, the first picture is of the plane just after I finished doing the decals on it. And then I saw some photographs online with winter camouflage.
Is that the same plane?
So this is the same plane. After doing a nice paint job, I covered it in white paint. I used a chipping method, covered it the way I saw it in the photographs online, and just chipped the heck out of it, trying to make it look as scruffy as I possibly could. It turns out from reading that painting the upper surfaces white was common on Russian airplanes, but the pilots hated it because the matte paint and the weight changed the performance of the aircraft, which
Oh,
was
really?
hard to believe, but that's what I read. So a lot of them either refused to have their planes painted, or they let it wear off like crazy, just so they could get the characteristics of the plane back again. Interesting side story. My wife and I had an opportunity a couple of years ago, and we did a tour in Russia, and I actually bought this kit in a museum gift shop in Moscow. So I thought, you can't get any more Russian than that, than to buy the darn thing in Moscow. Other than that, I just did some light weathering on it, and some chipping on the propeller and the front fuselage. And that was it. You can see the tank fighting guns there, and the plane was quite respected by the Germans on the Eastern Front because of all the heavy armor around the pilot. It was apparently a tough plane to shoot down. But that was the first time I've tried a winter camouflage. I'll probably do it again because I thought it was kind of cool looking.
Very nice. Okay, Mr. Wilson. Paging Mr. Wilson once he unmutes himself.
I'm here.
There you go. We got your A4 first, my friend.
Well, this is the Fujimi 72nd scale A4B, and it had markings for Argentina in the Falklands era. So, and I started this maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago. I thought there was a group of us, I thought we were going to do a Falklands build. So I started this, and then it languished for a long time in the box. And then I started to rebuild it, and a whole bunch of things went wrong. So with the paint and things breaking off, and I got very discouraged. So I just said, to heck with it, I'm going to finish it. So it's not up to my standards that I wish it could be at, but it is what it is. And the Fujimi A4 is an actually beautiful series of kits. I have other Fujimi A4s, and I'll do a couple more of them. But that's, at least I finished it. That's all I worried about with this. Next, this is the again Hasagawa F9 F8 Cougar. And there's two kits in this series, the Cougar and the Panther, the Grumman Cougar and Panther by Hasagawa. And they're sweet little kits. They're beautiful. They go together well. There's beautiful, delicate scribing in them. The cockpits are, you know, there's a lack of detail in them, but there really are beautiful little kits. And on top of it, I think the Cougar is one of the nicest looking jet aircraft, in my opinion. It's just I don't know, its proportions are really nice in my eyes. Goes together well, and I really like this training scheme of it. So that's what I did. So that's my most recent one.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, Tom.
Yeah, so this is a build I started a while ago. It was when I had my arm surgery, and I just wanted to see if I could do a model, so I picked this up. It's the 1/48 scale RAF Tilly from Tamiya. Originally, I had the idea that I picked it up because I could put it with my Tamiya Spitfire when I get that done. And then I found out that actually those RAF markings are, that's post-war, apparently, with that nice blue. But anyway, I had a lot of fun with it. It's a pretty simple build, but I added a few things that I thought needed fixing. One is, you could see there, the front of the canvas sheet really didn't go down that far. And so I thought I took some epoxy putty, and I sort of expanded that downwards. And I messed around in the back. So I aged all the wood in the back, and you can see a bedroll back there and a few other things. Where I had the most fun is I think it's going to be the next picture, is I was playing around with ways of doing aged metal. So I've done a couple of things this way now, and I really liked this. It's only a little piece, but the shovel that I'm doing the blade of the shovel, I've come up with a way of just playing around. I take Tamiya thinner, and I first put on a coat of gunmetal. Then I put on the Tamiya thinner once that's dried. And then I just take about 5 or 6 different pigments, and I just keep dabbing at it, add a little bit more thinner, dab at it until I get the sort of the color or shade I want. And I really like the way it turns out. And I don't think there's any way with painting that I could get close to that. And the doohickey that holds the wheel down is done the same way. And that's my two favorite parts of the model. So I kind of liked it. It, as I said, it was really easy to go together, and it's, you know, something blue on the shelf is sort of different than everything else I have.
Mhm.
So I didn't really see anything much wrong with it other than the sort of the kit is Tamiya, so it's simplified a little bit. I added gauges and that from Archer Fine Transfers. And I, you know, it's kind of weird in all of their sort of Jeeps and things. They don't put pedals in. So, you know, I put an accelerator pedal, brake, and clutch in there as well. But you have to get really nosy and look way from the back to even see it. But anyway, enjoyed the kit. Something short and simple. I just have to finish up putting down the tie downs for the tarp down. I just have to figure out what I'm going to use for that. But
Cool.
that's
what,
it.
What did you use to paint? What did you use for the blue? I like the blue.
It's a Tamiya. It's a straight Tamiya light blue. And that's the one they recommended. And I went online, and that's what people said is a really good match for that blue.
Yeah, looks good.
So that was actually pretty easy. The tarp is a mixture of different khakis. And I lightened up some sections, darkened others, and then used, again, pigments to kind of darken down some spots
Very nice.
where the folds are.
And
And
I
then
wouldn't,
just
I
a
wouldn't,
small bit of dust and things like that. And aging the tires with different blue, blacks and grays.
and I wouldn't worry about it being a post-war thing. You can still build your Spitfire. Say it's like 1946.
Yeah, it's a museum Spitfire.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, on to Johnny. Let's see, unmute. There he
Okay.
goes. Okay, you're good.
So this is my work in progress Panther 4 review model in 1/35 scale. I haven't finished the side skirts yet, so the side skirt around the turret and also the hull, and also the support frame for the side skirts. Other than that, it's all finished, and all the P parts I try to use soldering instead of CA glue, except for the part where it connects to the plastic. I still use CA glue, but everything like between metal and metal, it's all soldering. And yeah, this kit has, in my opinion, is a little bit over-engineered. And like if I have another chance, I will pick Tamiya rather than this.
Yeah. Well, the photo etch looks great, and you're a braver man than me by soldering. All right, and then you've got your King Tiger here, which I love the shot you took.
This one, I actually built it about 3 years ago, and I put it in my display shelf. And about 2 years ago, I accidentally knocked it down, and the tank is broken. Like it loses some of the side skirts. Its machine gun is damaged, and its metal track is a little bit damaged too. So I didn't touch it ever since until about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I decided to fix it, and I give it a little repainting, like for some parts where the paint is chipped, and also I give it a little bit more weathering. Like initially there were a lot of dust and no rust. Like there are a lot of chipping and there are a lot of dust, but there's no rust. And when I fix it, I think maybe I should add some rust too. And yeah, there are still many flaws. I just don't think it's possible to fix it unless I send the paint and repaint it altogether. So I just did the minimal fixing.
That looks good.
Okay, and I actually, because I don't have any space in my display shelf, I put it on the Facebook Marketplace, and some gentleman bought it by at the price of $80, and I think it's not bad.
Cool. Good for you. Good for you. All right. Last but
How
not
do you-
least, someone pointed out I've been so busy throwing everyone else's builds up in that I haven't put any of my own up lately. So this is the most recent, well, second most recent one I've finished. This is the classic Hasagawa 48 scale Typhoon with the teardrop canopy. Pretty well out of the box. I did use paper seat belts. And I also got from a listener of the podcast, sent me the wheels, the resin wheel set, and the exhaust. So yeah, first time using the resin wheels. I now see why people like them. They had a beautiful sense of detail. Basically, kept it clean. Used some paper masks, Tamiya paints all around, and yeah, very satisfying build. The only problem I had was these were the original Hasagawa decals, so there was one slight bit of tearing, and trying to get them to settle down. No amount of decal fix would do it, but that's all right. Other than that, yeah, I was very, very pleased with it. This is a mold like they're still using in Edouard boxings, put them in their boxings and that. So it's a very nice mold. I can definitely recommend it. So that is the slideshow. Let me turn off screen sharing for a second. So that was on the tables. Thank you, everyone. Now I will bring up the other one again. And then we have a presentation tonight. So Frank is going to give us a presentation on modulation. And let's see here. And Jeff just sent me a chat. I didn't see one in my email from you. Nothing personal. You want me to double check?
Yeah, no, I sent two. I sent two.
You probably did, and I probably just forgot them. I went, oh, that guy.
Yeah, it's okay.
It wasn't a Felix Stowe.
No, it wasn't. I figured that was why you just didn't put me up there, because I didn't do what you wanted me to do.
Maybe. You're a little bit squeaky tonight, my friend. Hang on a sec. Let me go back and find them.
No, don't worry about it. We can do it next month.
Well, no. I'm sure people don't mind. This is the benefit of live podcasting.
Well, now of course they'll be quite disappointed.
Well, we do what we can. Hang on a second. Let me see here.
I want to cut into Frank's display time. That's all, because his models look so freaking amazing.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Now he's being nice because he made me do all that work.
I know. Well, you know what? I'm wondering if it's. I know why. Because it got mixed in with the email conversations we had about your demo, Frank. That's why.
And that's why I lost the invitation for tonight.
That's probably why. Okay, I found one. So hang on a second. We'll share my screen, and then we'll just do it manually. So the first one here is share screen. Share screen. All right, here's your ad, Jeff. Everyone see that?
Oh, there, yeah. This is I hope you can hear me. I'm still not figuring out the sound on this damn laptop. My grandson turned 6 on Sunday, and they decided that they were going to initiate him into the Star Wars world by showing him the first movie. Maybe about a year ago, I bought a lot of stuff at an auction. It was a box full of leftover bits and pieces and action figures and things. And inside was this destroyed ancient AMT AT-AT that had somebody glued together in their thumbprints and glue all over it. Probably a kid did it. And anyway, when I heard about the Star Wars initiation, I thought, well, He's 6 years old. Maybe I should give him a granddad built model. He's probably old enough and responsible enough to do it. So I dug out this old AT-AT, figuring that given it didn't cost me anything, I might as well let him destroy it. And I just cleaned it all up, sanded things as best I could, and then sprayed it and weathered it a little bit and stuck it on the hot tub and took a picture. So that's what that is. And he was overjoyed. He thought it was pretty cool. He immediately got it, and because he's doing his school from home, and it's kindergarten, I think, that he's in right now. He immediately planted it in front of the camera, and all the kids in the school had to watch it. So
Awesome.
So
And
that's
there was
that.
another one. Yeah, there's another one in front of the bar.
Yeah, that's in front of the Scotch bar. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Now I'm jealous.
Granddad.
Okay, and then the other one is, this one's wonderful, folks. I could not show this one, so I'm happy you reminded me.
Well, I showed you a picture of this last month where when I had just I sprayed it yellow. I'd done the primer and I'd done the undercoat of yellow. And then I spent about 3 days going blind, masking all of these little lines to try to get that pattern. And then sprayed it with the Tamiya dark navy blue. And I love it. I followed a Mike Hill suggestion, and after I did the yellow and I taped everything, I did another quick coat of yellow to sort of seal around the edges of the masks, and then I sprayed the blue, and it really came out well. Very little overspray, and then I took the first shot. Decided this is a seaplane. It's a jet seaplane. It's a stupid idea, but the only way to display it is to actually try to put it in water. And so this is the first time I've ever tried to make water, and it's still a work in progress. I'm building up layers of acrylic medium to try to get the wave effect. And then once I get satisfied with that, I can paint it properly. And then once I'm satisfied with that, I can glue on the cotton wool to try to get the spray to make it look good. But it's such a cool plane. I really like it. And in the background is the precursor to this one. It's the Convair Xf-92a, which is an ancient tester. Well, it's an ancient Hawk mold from the late 1950s that was reissued by testers, and it's one of those hollow kits. Basically, you can see right through from one end to the back. So I had to put in do a little bit of scratch building to try to fill up the engine hole and fill up the intake hole, and stick in a pilot and a cockpit of sorts. But it's a very simple one. It's just going to be white with silver bits and pieces. But I kind of like in the same scale, and I kind of like that you can see the evolution of the design of a tailless plane.
Wonderful. All right, now make sure I get these added to the PDF slideshow. Sorry about that.
No.
Okay, so that's everything from on the table. Now we're going to have a wonderful slideshow and demo all about modulation. Let me just load that up. All right, let me hit the slideshow. Do that, and then we gotta share the screen, all this technology.
We need sound and music for this, Frank. You really need to work on that for the next one.
Yeah, we'll give them
Союз рушими правец не отражу.
Oh,
How's that?
Okay. On second
Frank, we
thought,
shouldn't do that. Yeah.
come on, share. All right, share. There we go. And share. Okay, you should all see an orange PowerPoint screen now. Can you all see that? Someone acknowledge me? Yep, good. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, sir, take it away. Let me know when to advance the slide.
So, yeah, just to, like I said earlier, I was talking to Jeff and he saw what I'd done. So he said, hey, you got a show on that. So I threw this together over the last couple of days just to show you some progression and modulation. Go ahead, Stewart.
Oh, come on. There you go.
So I threw in another PowerPoint earlier for Jeff if he wanted it. It's just how I did this one. I'm no Uncle Night Shift here because he's got all these great videos, which is where I kind of learned to do this stuff. But you know, just seeing how much life this can bring to a flat model was something that I've been enjoying and doing. And this T26 is it's a 20 some odd year old Italieri Reeboks of a Zvezda kit. It was 2/3 built. It was a kind of gross. I don't know what he covered it in, but it was kind of this weird brown. So I just tried to make it pretty. Yeah, that's good, Stuart. You can go to the next one. You've all heard of modulation, and there's different ways of doing it. So what I'm showing here is that's the T26 I did, and it's next to an old Trumpeter PT76 I did about 8 years ago. Just basically flat paint with very little work done to it. One is done in mostly Tamiya's. The PT is done in the Tester's Russian Armor green to give it a bit of a different shade. So you can see the difference when we do these things. And I've tried some different techniques. I've done what I call, just base coating it, which is the PT, post shading, pre-shading, oil dot. So just a little bit of a comparison of what these different impact these have on your kits. Next, please. So comparing basically, like I modeled as a kid, and then I grew up and got a motorcycle and puberty and girls and work. So I didn't model for 20 years. I got back in, I guess, about 08-ish, 07. And this is actually one of my first kits I finished. It's a Trumpeter Kv. Again, right, it's just a flat base coat. And then playing around with basically the two pigments I had. This actually, I won a first, I think, at Capcom in Ottawa, and actually at our last, I brought this one in and I got like a third on it. So, I mean, people appreciate the work, and it was fun, but you can see there's a vibrancy with the T26 because of all that's been done to it, and makes it pop a little bit more. I'm not a fan of that European overweathering that we all see, but when I put these two together, you can kind of see the difference. Next, please, Stuart. Just a couple more shots between it, the KV and the PT. And I'm doing.
Is the Kv-1, is there any dust on that, or is that just the color?
It's actually the dusting I did. I kind of did a slight overspray and then with pigments to make it look that dusty. Yeah, it's in a Tupperware container, so it never gets dirty. I don't have shelving yet. So so this is when I tried to do what's called post shading. So I read about using tempera paint, which I'm sure Jeff will know for his grandkids, but it's the paint that comes in a powder you mix with water, and it's for kids to use. So I got a big jar of black tempera over at Walmart for like $5. And that's what I did with this. This is a, whose is this again? I want to say this is a Tamiya, but it could be a Trumpeter because it looks too good to be a Tamiya. T3485. And so just base coat, and all that dark shading you see around the hatch, the machine gun, that's all done by applying that tempera paint and then working that black powder, not the paint, the powder into the paint, and just kind of grinding it in there, blowing it off and layering it up. And I thought the effect was kind of cool. When I got back into modeling, a friend of mine gave me Tony Greenland's book on modeling. And so I was trying to make my stuff look like Mr. Greenland's, not close, but, and I thought this effect, so this is using any kind of powdered base. So I use tempera paint because I'm cheap. And I thought for post shading, this kind of gave it a bit more life. So it worked out well. Next, please. And just another example of trying to figure out how to make them look a bit better. This is a Trumpeter Kv-1s, which was a great kit. Again, I just base coated it. Again, Tester's Russian Armor green. And if any of you guys, Johnny will know this, but I mean, if you do Russian Armor, all Russian Armor is painted in 4BO. So then they say, well, what's 4BO? Well, it's green. Pick a tint. And right, there's a picture of a graveyard of BRDMs and BMPs, and there's 100 different shades of green. So the nice thing about Russian Armor is you can get some flexibility. So this is an example of what you can do by taking two KVs and a T34, and each one just looks that little bit different, which makes it look nice. So again, right, no modulation on this kit, no shading, just a base coat, pigments on all of these, they were all done in that manner. Next. Again, just another example of a flat coat. This is a T72 next to the T26. Just a base coat with some very light dusting with the tempera to give it a bit of contrast. And you know, when I take pictures next to them, I was proud of this T72 10 years ago, but now it looks kind of flat and meh. So I might have to, you know, snazz it up a bit, and then I'll have to connect with Johnny and see how he sold a kit, try to get some money for my stuff too, and so I can buy more and feed my addiction. So this is just an example of that lack of modulation. And again, just to give you that contrast, next please. So these are my little bitty Ivan tanks that I've been working on. This is about over the last year when I really started the modulation. So first one's a Hobby Boss T18, which for those who don't know, that's a mid-war early, one of the first tanks the Russians used. Basically saw a little bit of action in Mongolia, but not much. It's a two-man tank like the Renault. Well, it's a ripoff of the Renault, basically. So this one here was appreciated, but I didn't do, what's popular nowadays is doing what's called black and white. I'm sure you've heard of it. You base coat it black, and then you use the white to highlight it, to pattern it, however you see fit, give it a mosaic look. This one here, the pattern I follow is I went dark green in the shaded areas where I would expect light not to hit, and then the yellow on the high points or areas that would be faded to make it stand out, and with my poor lighting in the basement to make it stand a bit more. So that one there was, the T18 was pre-shaded, dark green and yellow. It's actually Tamiya XF4 dark yellow. And then I oil washed it, gave it a pin wash, and then I pigmented it to make it look like it was abused in Mongolia. The T26, I like flags. I like to give my tanks a little something extra just to make them stand out. So I gave him a flag with for Stalin logo on it. Same thing. This one here I got fancy. I appreciated with 3 colors. I did a black base. I then started with a dark green, Tamiya paints, and then I built that up with dark yellow afterwards to make high points. Then, and I don't know if anyone else does this, but anytime I paint, especially camo patterns, when I'm done painting the camo, I like to take just some Tamiya thinner, and I go over the tank, the whole thing, with about 2 or 3 light mist coats, and it blends everything together nicely, just makes it settle in and softens it all. So I did that with the Tamiya, with the T26 with a bit of white. Then I did an oil dot, and then I did, of course, pin washing, and it looks schmutzig. It looks like it's been out a little bit. Next is the Academy Stewart, where all I did with it was basically the pre-shading, again, dark green with yellow, no real wash, some pigment work, a little bit of the Tamiya panel liner on it, but really no oil wash or nothing. And then the BT7 did the same thing, dark green and yellow. I did an oil wash, and then I heavily pigmented it to make it look dusty. I'm trying to work on my rubble dust look. Next to it. Just 3 other examples just to see the difference. What, you know, like the Stewart looks great. Not you, Stewart, the Stewart looks great. I find on the tops, because of that shading, it gives it that bit of I've been out in the sun too long, like I get. Next, please. And just another contrast, Hobby Boss 148 Kv-2, and then a Tamiya Kv-2. I love those. The Tamiya in whitewash, no shading. Basically, I used Mig's book, so I painted it base coat green. I actually used Elmer's glue to create the patches. So I put Elmer's on the green, whitewashed it, and then from Mig's book, I took off the white, and then I added more white. So I kind of reverse chipped it, if you will, and then streaked it down basically with some watered down pigments to make it look somewhat dirty. Came out well, but no modulating whatsoever. That's just straight with paint. Whereas the KV on top, it's pure modulation. There's been no weathering done to it, no wash. That's just the results of the paint and a light coat of clear on it to protect it until I destroy it with my pigments and stuff. The tracks were done a bit. So again, just another example of the contrast. Next, please. bitte. Again, just some other examples of the modulation, SU-85 and a 152. The SU-85 was done very mild. I was just trying to see what it was like if I did a light coat, and was working more on the dot wash because it's got nice big fat flat surfaces, which made it look pretty. And then the 152, I modulated it, and then I gave it some wear. So I did the close-up shot where you can see in the midpoints, there's that change in color, and just a heavy dark wash on it. Next. I got more tank. I don't just do Russian stuff, but for this, I figured this was I think the best way to contrast it. So this was this KV-5 by Trumpeter is a horrible kit, and actually I only shaded it with dark yellow. I don't normally prime, or at least I didn't. I am now because it's a good idea, I guess. Well, for me it is. But this was a horrible brittle black plastic, and I just did it with a dark yellow to highlight it. And then I did the dots, I pin washed it, pigmented it, and now my tanks are starting to look similar. The T26 and that KV are starting to look like they kind of belong together, big brother, little brother. Next, please, Stewart. And so there you can see a contrast between, you know, heavy pigmenting and modulating more compared to the lighter work I did on that Tamiya. There's a significant difference. I just find there seems to be a bit more vibrancy and life to the KV. Next. And then I just threw in some more. This was Tamiya Valentine, which I made in Russian service. Same thing. I did very little on the Tamiya compared to the Italieri. That's mostly done with just with pigments and some life color paints to do some wear and burning on it. Well, it turned out pretty good. A little shiny still, like my head. I'll have to fix that. Next, please. I think this is one of the last pictures. So the bigger tank, it's a 1/35th Tamiya in front of the Hobby Boss. So that Tamiya was done in two-tone, absolutely no modulation whatsoever, a bit of a wash just to get it that dusty, streaky look. But I like the comparison shot between the two to show what a little bit of extra work will do to the kit, to the piece, to make it just stand out that little bit more. And the Hobby Boss, like I said, there's nothing else that's been done to it. It's just been pre-shaded. It's a little dusty, but that's because it's next to a dirty tank. But anyway, there's that example. And then next. I finished this one. So again, only modulated. It's got no weathering on it. You can see I've featured the turret to protect that decal, which unlike Stewart's, absolutely set perfectly into the heavy rippling on that turret there. That cast effect is a bit considered harsh, and a lot of guys like to smooth it out. I said, man, hell with it, I like it. And that decal, they just set like a dream, which was really nice to have with an Academy kit. So this is one of 3 T34s that I've got to go together. So this one was done in dark green and yellow. I'm going to do one of them in dark red, and then lighter shades towards the white, and another one in black and white, and just see how they contrast the three of them together. This is a T34, this is a 3476. The other one's going to be an OT34 based on the 76 design, and the other last will be a T3485, just straight out of the box, all Academies. We'll see how they look. So
That's it.
hopefully next month I'll have more shots.
Thank you, Frank. Very, very nice. Gorgeous work. That T18 you had was just gorgeous. Does anyone have any questions? If you do, don't forget to unmute yourself. Anyone, or you're all stunned into silence?
So, yeah, so basically you achieve your modulation mainly.
Oh, hang on a sec, Jeff. Johnny's talking.
Oh, I didn't realize Jeff was talking about his sound is.
Go ahead, Johnny. You can tell Jeff's talking because he squeaks. Okay, Johnny, go ahead. Jeff's going to get a headset.
Yeah, so basically all your modulation is mainly done by pre-shading, right?
Yeah, so I will prime it now, and then I'll pre-shade it. I've done black and white, but depending on the kit, I did a 125th Yag Panther, which I did in a dark brown, reddish brown, and white, and it came through the yellow really nicely to give it that yellowy aged look. And so yeah, basically I try to pick colors that'll give me that effect I want. I don't just do black and white. Like I feel green paint is going to start to go to that yellow color, just like, you know, I find the German yellow with the red oxide primer they used to use underneath, I find it would probably fade into that kind of a rich brown color. So I'm just playing with that right now. So getting better at these Russian ones, that's for sure, I think.
Yeah, because I usually build German vehicles, right? And I tried the black and white technique because it's simple, but it looks great like in your vehicles. And if I only just paint the base coat like the yellow, it's fine. But after I apply the red and like the red and green camo, it will just cover the shadow and you will not notice it. So
so for that, Johnny, though, what I would suggest is Tamiya smoke. So putting one layer down and then taking the Tamiya smoke paint in a 50-50 mix and going with Tamiya smoke over those dark areas where you want the dark to kind of show up will help with that. I did a kit that the dog found, so I don't have pictures of it. It's gone, and so is the dog. But I did it once, and it helps to pop it out. And a buddy of mine did a Churchill like that also. So you may want to try with light smoke as you go between the color layers and those dark areas to bring them out a bit more.
yeah, I actually just used another method that's like I paint each color in many layers from dark to light, but it takes longer. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, seeing your King Tiger, I don't think you need to worry about it. They look fantastic. So
Yeah, you'll have to put
Yeah,
those.
that, I actually didn't. Oh, I did that in the same manner, but after the heavy weathering, I don't notice the modulation anymore. Like at that time, I was too conservative. Like I didn't do it aggressive enough. But the one I did in the 24-hour build, the Panzer IV, the tune tank, I actually did it pretty aggressively, and I think the result is pretty good. I didn't use any pigment at all, and it looks good.
Cool. Jeff, are you alive?
Guys, is that better?
That's much better, sir. Thank you. It's
Yeah,
almost
sorry.
almost like you could be on a podcast.
Sorry about that, guys. I mean, as I said, I haven't figured this out on this damn laptop. But I had a question, but I'm pretty sure Johnny asked it, even though I didn't hear the answer. But I'll bother Frank about it later privately, rather than get him to repeat everything again.
All right. Anyone else? Anyone else have any questions? Nope.
Peter Hill.
There we go, Peter. Yep. Go ahead.
I nothing about the colors or the models, but I was a gunner in the artillery in the 1950s. It took me back to the days of armored vehicle recognition, having to go in there and sit down and quickly aim and go for the highest spot and bang.
Very cool.
Recognized a number of those things.
So does this mean we should maybe check with Bill at the hobby shop up there and see if there's an armor kit in your future? Not that I'm trying to start anything.
Well, I was a gunner, not artillery. We fired against them and just hoped we never had to do it. Because the muzzle velocity in the field artillery is nothing to get through a tank armor.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if someone models some of the guns you were using. Oh, you muted yourself again, sir.
He's a British
Michael-
25-pounder.
Michael did me a 25-pounder a long time ago, but somewhere in our moves, it's all broken up.
Oh, we'll have to find one again. I know there's various kits of that, so good stuff. All right, well, that's interesting. That's pretty cool. All right, does anyone else have any other questions? All right. Well, thank you again, Frank. I'm going to put the slides up on the webpage when I do the gallery and all that, if that's okay. And just yeah, wonderful work. Thank you. Thank you very much. You know what? That could almost be an article for IPMS Canada. Not that I'm trying to start something. Just saying.
Actually, I'm emailing Steve to ask him. I'm going to send those PowerPoints and see if he wants to use them.
Awesome. Yeah, Steve's a really good guy, and he's very helpful. So yeah, I think that'd be excellent because the shots are gorgeous. I almost think when we get back to having a show, you should have like a Russian section, a history of Russian armor. You could do something like that.
I wrote an article for Steve, and it's a German tank, tank destroyer instead. So hopefully that'll show up in the near future.
Awesome.
Excellent. Good job.
Okay. Good stuff. Okay. Unless anyone else has anything else they wish to comment on or mention or something like that. No one? All right. Well, I'm going to turn off the recording then. We'll turn this into a regular build night. For all those who joined us tonight, feel free to hang out, continue to hang out. Thank you again. Special thanks to Mr. and Mrs. Hill for joining us all the way from Ottawa. Always a pleasure. Don't be a stranger. We'll make sure you get the invites this time.
Yeah, the only reason they've been a stranger is my fault because I thought I'd included Peter in the email invite and I had not. So I